Welcome to Weekday Somatics. And you all know the usual guidance applies, but I'll say it anyway. Let's take a moment to start by finding a posture that we can inhabit for the next 30 minutes with confidence. It's always important for the exploration, but maybe if it could be more important, it's more important today, because I want to explore something together that it's important for this exploration that we can be present. And if you don't know what it means to be present, hopefully that will become clearer through this exploration. So we're going to, as I say, start from a posture that we can inhabit with confidence for 30 minutes. And as usual, I encourage you to find that edge so that you're not pushing into strain, but neither are you collapsing into unconsciousness. So you can start to notice that distinction for yourself, how it is that you habitually shift between these extremes, and how it is possible to actually just be present, to be here, anchored in stillness, which is your true nature. Now, the mind, the conditioned mind, the mechanical mind, those are all synonyms. And other synonyms include reactive mind, impulsive mind, compulsive mind, past mind, my idea of myself. Okay, all of those are synonyms. Mind is going to object. Let it. Don't be concerned. It will object, saying this isn't good enough. This isn't important enough. This isn't going to help me. This isn't going to fix my problems. I'm going to tell you something. It's bold. Okay, this is a bold claim. It's a bold promise, but it's true. This is really a true promise. This right here, right now, this stillness provides everything that you need. Not only that, this is the only true remedy. Nothing else can offer what this stillness offers. Everything else that we can do is superficial to this stillness, superficial to the power of this stillness. All of those other things may be valuable, they may be useful, but their utility is limited. This present stillness is limitless. So for the next 30 minutes, whatever the objections of mechanical mind might be willing to be bold in your commitment to inquiry. Be willing to be bold in your trust in this stillness. Your mechanical mind will object left and right every opportunity it gets. That's its nature. But its truer nature, its deeper nature is this stillness. So today, what I'd like to explore is something that I have touched upon in these weekday somatics meetings many times, but I'd really like to take a look at it more closely today. This is prompted by a really excellent question that I received over the weekend from one of you. And so thank you for that. And the question was about belief. So I want to take a look at that together. So we're sitting here, we're lying here, whatever the posture is, we're present. To be present necessarily means that we are aware. We are aware and we can notice that we are aware at gross levels and at subtle levels. So we're going to trace from grosser levels to subtler levels in our direct experience. And we're going to observe the phenomena that are presenting themselves. And we're going to cultivate discernment so that we can more clearly recognize our authentic desire, and we can get really clear on what everything else is. Now, we're going to be seeing what is actually happening. And this seeing is all that's necessary, but it's essential to remain true to the seeing. So just know in advance that mechanical mind will attempt to do something with this, and it can't. All it can do is distort it. So just don't bother with any ideas, any comparisons. Those things will surface. They will be grasping at so-called understanding, trying to develop a new strategy, trying to have a new thing in your back pocket that you can use to save yourself, protect yourself, enhance yourself, fix yourself. And I'm telling you, don't. Just really don't. It's not going to be helpful. So, so just be aware of that tendency. So we're here in this posture and we're just noticing whatever habits we're noticing, the habits of trying to get it right, trying to fix it, trying to understand it, trying to compare the experience to our mental image of ourselves and what we should be, how we should be. So notice presently that there is what your mechanical mind labels as discomfort. And notice how it is that you believe that you know that that is true. You are comparing your idea of your experience to your idea of what the experience should be. So just allow all of the ideas, the comparisons, the insistence that I know that this is a problem, that this is painful, this is uncomfortable, this is wrong, this is hard, whatever whatever surfaces, whatever those ideas are that surface, just see that that's all they are. They're just ideas. It's some ultimately wrong perception of yourself drawn from the past that you're comparing to your wrong idea of what this is now. Don't touch either of them. Don't touch the past. Don't touch your conditioning as it arises now. Just continue to soften into this stillness and support that's here presently. Soften the musculature of the body. Your mechanical mind will say, I can't, I don't know how. Don't touch that thought. Why, why fight and struggle? I was going to add something else to that, but let's just leave it at that. Why fight and struggle? Why? Just don't touch the thought. Now, I've already pointed out the key to this inquiry into belief. But it's possible that some may have overlooked it or not recognized it. So we'll review it and revisit it from different angles. The mechanical mind presents objections. Mechanical mind then seeks to do something with the objection. It fights with the objection. Mechanical mind struggles with the objection. You believe incorrectly that you are on the line, that you are at stake, that you are in this struggle, that you're entangled in the struggle, that your okayness, not just your okayness, but your existence depends upon resolving this struggle in whatever way you think that is necessary to resolve the struggle. Take a look and see right now that you do not need to touch the thought. Moreover, you cannot touch the thought. The thought cannot touch you. The conditioning cannot touch you. All that is happening is conditioning showing itself. You are presently aware of that conditioning. Now, if mechanical mind raises an objection to that, which it may well, because it will say, well, I don't know, what does that mean? What does it mean to be aware? Who am I to be aware? What is my relationship to the conditioning, et cetera, et cetera? It continues to raise objections, concerns, trying to figure it out. Notice right now that you are not entangled in that. Now, how can you get clearer on this? And what I'm proposing is, notice there's a linchpin that holds together this whole constellation of conditioning. The linchpin is habits of reactivity that are expressed ultimately physically that you mistake to be proof that you are entangled in the condition. So let's look more closely at that. Again, we're inhabiting this posture anchored in stillness. So hopefully that's clearer to us all now than it was weeks ago. But just to clarify what I mean by that, I mean that we are observing the impulses to try and adjust, to get comfortable, and we're surrendering to the support that has us. So we're not collapsing into unconsciousness. This is not unawareness. But neither are we indulging the habits of seeking for comfort. So we're choosing to be here. We're choosing not to move. We're choosing stillness by choosing to inhabit this posture. And in this, what is revealed to us is all of our strain, all of the remaining effort. So this is the core inquiry, is just to be present here, just to rest, but it's to be restfully present. There's an alertness, but it's an effortless alertness. So this is the core of the inquiry. Don't do anything more than that if that's enough. For those of us who are confident in our ability to explore further, let's look now from this anchoring in stillness. So this is, again, the core of the inquiry, is just to continue to be restfully aware. We're not adjusting, we're not fixing, we're not trying, we're not striving, we're not straining. We are surrendering by being present to the experience, observing the impulses to correct, to fix, to strive and strain, and we're just continuing to consciously rest. Now, that already is, if we allow it, that already completely clarifies the nature of belief. If we just stay with that, it completely clarifies the nature of belief. But of course, the mechanical mind will say, what do you mean? I don't understand yet. So don't try and fit this in the mechanical mind, because it can't do it. Mechanical mind does not have that capacity. So anchored in this stillness now, for those of us who are interested in doing so, we can actually begin to explore by provoking our conditioning. So what I'd like you to do is remember now something that has happened in which you were, at least in your evaluation, you were judged badly, in which you had in which somebody had some idea about you that you didn't like, some idea about your deficiency, your wrongness, your lack. Choose, and if it's not something that actually happened, it's enough that you can make it up, so long as you can actually observe the conditioning. So don't say, oh, I'm too evolved for that. I'm so spiritually evolved that nothing ever bothers me. I'm suggesting no. Go right into the heart of it. So somebody had an expectation of you. You failed to meet that expectation. You can maybe see the look on that person's face, the expression. You can maybe hear their words, the tone. They're disappointed in you. I'm disappointed in you. I thought you were better than that. Now notice that compulsion to defend yourself. And see how you do it. You have to observe this from stillness to see it. Because if you leap out into and start identifying as mechanical mind and you get all caught up in all of the drama of it, you won't see this. So just stay anchored in this stillness, and from here observe those habits as they surface, the habit of self-defense. How dare they? They don't know how hard my life is. They don't know my struggles. They're they're not nearly as good as I am. They're not as smart as I am. They don't know what I know. And whatever the talk is, whatever the thoughts are, just notice those. And then notice the contraction, the gripping, the armoring. This is the constellation that I'm talking about. Something happens, and what happened? What actually happened? Really, when you look at it, what actually happened? Perhaps if you really stay anchored in this stillness, you can see that nothing happened. You can't pinpoint it. You can't actually identify the thing that happened. Nothing happened. but there was a trigger. So we say something happened. This constellation was triggered. This conditioning was triggered. It popped up and it happened so suddenly, and we're so wound up that we just spring into reaction. But here we can actually choose to remain anchored in stillness, and we can observe. And notice the gripping, the armoring. That's the linchpin. That's what lends a sense of reality to the whole thing, because that suggests to us that I'm under attack. Now, when we look anywhere else and struggle anywhere else while overlooking this core insight and having the courage to surrender, and we'll talk more briefly about what that actually means to surrender. But if we look elsewhere without surrendering, then we're struggling in vain, because all we're doing is reinforcing the same thing. If I seek to defend myself, I lose every time. And why that is, the mechanical mind can't really understand it. It can puppet the correct answer, but it can't really understand. Because the true understanding comes from that which mechanical mind is not. Mechanical mind is not aware. So now I want you to imagine this scenario. And at this point, it could be completely made up, because it is made up no matter what. So just make it up. Make up, don't listen to mechanical mind that says, oh, I can't do it. It's not working. I can't get invested enough, whatever. Whatever mechanical mind's objections are, don't believe it. Make it up. Make it up now in a way that you can actually start to notice what I'm pointing to. So imagine now this scenario in which your conditioning suggests that you should be desperate, in which the compulsion is so strong that you think you must leap into it, you must get involved, you must start to struggle. Where you feel as though if you don't, you will die. Where you feel as though you must scream, you're wrong. See my rightness. Love me, accept me, approve of me. Validate me. Or maybe worse yet, where you want to lash out at them. You want to hit them. You want to scream at them. And don't say that that doesn't happen, because it does. Play that through in your imagination. And then notice that here, anchored in stillness, there's the possibility of complete clarity that none of that has anything to do with you. So let them have their judgments. Let yourself, your mechanical mind, have its judgments. Let thoughts come. Let the judgments come. Let the compulsions come. The compulsion to shout, to justify, to think about it. All of these compulsions. Let them come and see the complete impotence of them. See how they can't actually help you. See that the end game of all of that is total death and destruction, warfare. You've killed them all now. Finally, you've won. Finally, you've been victorious. And maybe you didn't kill everybody because there are a few who are left, a few who say, yes, 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 Your Highness, you are correct always. Yes, you are good always. Yes, whatever you want. And see how completely unsatisfying that is. Play it all out to the very end and see how completely dissatisfying it is. And now you're left only with this primal scream. You're alone, completely alone, completely isolated in your own personal health. Because no external action can fix it. You did everything possible to fix it and it still didn't get fixed. And now perhaps you can start to recognize even more clearly what the actual nature of belief is. Perhaps you can start to see its total emptiness. We struggle with belief because we believe that there's something there. All it ever was a false association. There's sensation, thought, image, memory. We justify it because we say, well, there's a world out there and it's doing this to me, but look closely and see it's not doing anything to you. It doesn't have that ability. It has no ability to touch you. It is not doing anything to you. It can't. The hell is here. It's always been here. Look and see that that's true. It's always, always, always been here. And who's doing that to you? You just look and see. Nobody's doing it to you. It was simply a mistake. It was a mistake in accepting as true an association between unrelated phenomena. If you observe here now from this stillness, it's truly possible to recognize that this is unrelated phenomenon presenting as though they were connected. And then you believe, you leap into this struggle, but don't, just now, don't. Just remain restfully aware. Let the whole world judge you wrongly. Let the whole world judge you as deficient. Right now, right in this moment, let the whole world judge you as bad, wrong, stupid, ugly. Whatever it is that you are concerned about, let the world judge you. And see that it was only ever it was only ever the reflection of your own habits reflected back to you from this shell of hardness and self-defense. And you were at war with that. So we're going to begin now to consciously without disturbance transition from the formal inquiry and see that it's possible to do so without disturbance. Out of habit, we might think that there has to be a disturbance. We might think that there has to be something lost, that as we make this transition, that we must somehow lose our clarity of self-recognition, the recognition of this stillness of awareness. Choose to make the transition consciously so that you can recognize the falseness of that idea, so that you can recognize that you always are aware, conscious, present. It's only a habit of identifying as something else. Habits can be undone. To undo the habit, first recognize the habit. Second, don't indulge the habit. So just observe and recognize the habits as they surface. How do you make the transition? You have a habit of how you do it. All of the habits of identification as certain phenomena, they happen suddenly and we leap over them, we don't recognize them. But if we are consciously present to the experience and we are witness to it, then we see it as it is. So perhaps we notice, and you'll notice whatever you notice, so it doesn't have to be the same for everybody, but you might notice that perhaps there are certain qualities of mechanical mind that calm down, settled down, less disturbance was occurring in mind. That's one possibility. And perhaps the habit is to believe that when mechanical mind is more active, that is somehow a problem, or somehow that can overshadow our nature as awareness. But observe and see it. See that that habit can't overshadow awareness. And see how it is as you make this transition consciously, that if you really truly do so, if you really do as I'm suggesting, if you really receive this invitation presently, right now, then this is possible for you right now. I'm telling you this, don't put it off into the future. This is actually possible now. Then you never need to ever again fall for the self-deception. You never again need to mistake yourself for what you are not. Even as all of those habits may surface. Because you are aware of the habits. Don't be dismayed when the habits arise. Don't get involved in them. Don't mistakenly identify as them. Don't mistakenly believe that you are on the line just because there's an idea that says, I'm on the line. See what's happening. Notice as you are living your life, how this same process that hopefully has become clearer to you through this inquiry is always playing out. That there's the linchpin of your own reactivity, the sensation that lends a sense of reality to this false self. The false self, which is the psychological self, the mechanical self, the constructed self, the personality, the history, whether I'm a good person or a bad person, a successful person or a failure, whether people like me or don't like me. That's on the line. Of course that's on the line, because that's a lie. But see that that's not you. You can recognize that. It's totally possible. And then see, when you can see this now, I promise you. And in seeing this, if you remain true to this, this undoes all suffering. See that no matter what happens, that's not you. You don't need to be concerned about it. But neither do you need to make any effort to push it away or reject it. So it's not about pushing it away and saying, that's not me. When you really recognize that it's not you, you are happy to receive it, because you recognize that there's that it's something of you that you projected out there. So rather than pushing it away, rather than wrongly imagining out there, you can be happy to receive it just as it is, because then what you're receiving is your own innate freedom, that freedom to remain as you are, undisturbed. And if your eyes have been closed and you haven't yet opened them, then when you're ready, you can begin to explore opening the eyes and see that you can do so without disturbing anything. And for those who are here live, we'll stay on for the Q&A. And for anybody who's watching the recording of this, I'm going to end the recording. So thanks for joining.